Hello and welcome to another edition of Conversations with Mrs. R. It's truly a pleasure and privilege to be with you today. My name is Marian, and of course, there will not be any conversations without Mrs. R. Mrs. Rappo, it's fantastic to have you back. It's always good to have a conversation with you.
Thank you very much. And it's the beginning of a new year.
Yes, and I'm not even going to lie. I want to be selfish with Mrs. R for a couple of episodes before I bring everybody in because sometimes I just like to have you all to myself. It's great to have you again.
Thank you.
It's great. It's
Thank
a new
you.
year, 2025.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people came in with, oh, fantastic. And some people come in with, okay, we'll be happy the first few months and then we'll go back.
Who knows what's going to happen next.
again. And there's a lot of that baggage coming in. So to start, Mrs. R, something to tell people about what to look forward to
in the new year.
2025.
Yeah. 2024 was quite a challenging year for many people. And the word we've got this for 2025 in church has been Rehoboth. And Rehoboth signifies the place where you've come to the end of a struggle. Because in Genesis, Isaac dug two wells, one at Sitnah and the other one, I think, at Ephek. And those two wells were places where he had to strive because the wells were blocked. So by the third well, Rehoboth, he found water. And he named it Rehoboth. So that signifies a place of enlargement, a place where you've gone beyond contention and containment, and a place where you're lengthening the cords of your habitation. So I would like to say to people, in keeping with that word, to expect a year of easy movement and a year where you are settling down to expand. So, and the expansion begins in your mind.
Yes.
So you want to break out of limitation in your mind and then challenge the status quo and say, I can move beyond this point. I can enlarge. I can think my dreams again. And the expectations of the righteous, God would not cut short.
Thank you so much.
So be encouraged. Be encouraged.
We needed to start with that because I do know a lot of people are coming in with a lot of baggage. And one of the things we want to do this year and this season is taking practical questions, people's practical experiences, and trying to help you walk through it and get some kind of solution or at least the next steps to take to be able to understand what is happening. And in that spirit, I'm going to share a story of someone who went through this with her child. And so, you know, she just says, okay, my daughter calls me and she's in boarding school and she's crying, she's overwhelmed, and I'm trying to understand what is going on with her, but it's just a sense of being overwhelmed. She's saying, Mommy, so many things. And it's not like she can pinpoint this is the problem, but she's overwhelmed with education, she's overwhelmed with expectation, she's overwhelmed with just being a teenager. And she says she's literally crying on the phone. And I'm asking, did somebody touch you? No, I'm just overwhelmed. And, you know, and she's like, my daughter is crying, physically crying. And so that is one of the things I want to bring to the fore, which is something that usually we talk to teenagers, this, but I want us to talk to parents today. This teenage age is, whoa, it was always difficult, but with the society we're in now,
it's more intense.
It's more intense.
Yes.
So for parents, Mrs. R, we're going to break this down. First of all, the teenager feeling overwhelmed and the parent thinking you are just 14, 15, 16, 17. What is overwhelming you? You don't have a job. That's the regular answer. You know, like you don't have a job, you don't have anything. Just read your book and come. What could be overwhelming a 16-year-old?
Yeah. I wouldn't want to be a teenager now. I do think that the teenagers are coping with a lot. So I'll talk briefly about the teenager and then we'll go to the parents. The average teenager, when we grew up and we were teenagers, of course this was many years ago, we had a quieter world to grow up in.
That's the word, a quieter
world. First of all, you were living within community. So you had, the average family in Nigeria was six children, 5 children. If you had 3, they thought there was something wrong with you. So in that atmosphere, you learned to box and play. So you developed resilience. You developed communication skills. Even if you were 3, your parents would bring in another 3
The cousins.
So you didn't have a bed space to yourself, even if you were in a mansion. You didn't have a TV in the palm of your hands. So there was, within the confine of homes, community. We played cards, we played Ludo. Remember, the human is spirit, soul, and body. So we had opportunity to play. We grew up playing. In the evenings, you shut down. You had siesta time. There were no extra teachers coming at 4 p.m. The child has come back from school. So the environment was different. We exchanged clothes. Oh, you've taken my trousers. Where's my top? Who's taken my lipstick? We shared bathrooms. In that place, we learned life coping skills. You didn't have a phone you could talk to 24/7. So you had to interact with your cousins. When it was Christmas time, we had hometowns and villages to go to. That's the Nigeria we grew up in. And if you expand it to the African country, to the world, people expended a lot of energy outdoors. So we didn't understand what it meant to be bored. In fact, by the time you'd gone through your day's routine as a young teenager, whether you were in boarding house or a day student, you were exhausted enough to sleep. And if you were in boarding house, I remember my boarding house. We had tennis courts. It was a Catholic school, Connelly College in Uyo, southeastern state, now Akwa Ibom. It was on expanse of land. It was a flagship school for the Holy Child Order. Reverend Mother Connelly set up the Holy Child School. So this one was named after her. It was amazing. So bring that to today's world. The average teenager today has no recreation. I think at least not as much as they should have. What is your recreation? The other day I stumbled on a teenager in her home, well, an 11-year-old, and she's on the internet. And I said, don't you have friends who visit your home? And she says, Auntie, that's my friend I'm talking to on the internet. I mean, how do you develop meaningful relationships on the internet? God made us to interact with ourselves. He modeled that when he came down to Adam in the garden. So God didn't have to come down to Adam, but he set all those things in the Bible as examples for us. He came down and walked with Enoch until one day Enoch said, it's such a pleasant walk. Shall we go to your home? But the average teenager now is constrained to work. And to parents, it would seem like these children are under obligation to perform. It may be that they put themselves under this pressure. It may not be the parents. But I think the pressure could also be from their counterparts in school. So maybe also we are putting a lot of emphasis on academic performance. You're not doing well except you score the A's. You're not the best child unless you go to Imperial College and get a first class. But Miriam, everybody is created in different ways with different gifts. I couldn't pass a maths exam. And the teacher didn't make it easy. It was so boring. But I'm a creative. So I want to say to parents, when a child calls you like that, what you see is symptomatic of what is really going on. The child is crying out because that child's stress quota is full. It's not just about the subject. She's got to a critical point where she's overwhelmed. But it's been building up for a while. We then need to say, not through the Bible, if you're a Christian parent, it's not the time to quote a scripture. That is not immediately. It's the time to probe. It's the time to ask questions. How did you tell me? And don't panic. Don't make it a big point. It's okay. It's okay. We go through our moments. Can we talk about this? So conversation is so important. And we need to be patient. Some children would come all out with it.
Some will not.
Some would not. So for the child who came out with it, kudos. The other child, if you threw a scripture, would just wilt because you brought them into a place where you're saying God is saying, and I can't query God.
Yeah.
So she withdraws like a snail and doesn't say anything, but it's there. It's there to come out another day. So I would say to the parent, you need to help the child deconstruct. You need to help the child break it down. What is going on in your mind? What are the components? What led to this? If it's schoolwork, what are you thinking of? What subject is the worst pressure? The child may be being forced to be a science student, whereas she's an expressive and a creative. And she can't come out with it because she's done 1 year already. The parents have paid these mega fees. How's she going to say this? That could even be the pressure.
Now, let me go to pressure.
Yeah.
Because I know that the things are really tough and parents are sacrificing a lot. And kudos to parents, it's not easy, especially in the climb. But also that sacrifice inadvertently puts pressure of the child must deliver on the sacrifice.
Yes.
Because you're seeing your parents sacrificing and your parents are also saying the sacrifice. And sometimes, especially children in the love they have for their parents, put themselves also under pressure. How can parents manage this? Where, yes, we know you're sacrificing, and of course, nobody wants to sacrifice and not get the rewards. But how do we as parents be careful not to make that sacrifice an albatross around our children's necks?
You talked about the child also feeling that they've got to perform, and in some cases, I've got to pick my degree to be relevant and a degree that my parents would be proud of. A few weeks ago, a mom said to me that she allowed her sports-inclined child to learn sports management. They are actually very lucky that now there's so much diversity in terms of what portfolios you can pick in university, what career and then what subjects and degrees you can. So I think we should examine each child really before the child gets to A-levels. Begin to have these conversations that help you unravel who this child really is. Is this child going to be good as a doctor? What really does she want to do? Does she want to be an artist? Does she want to be a designer? So what aspect of what she's interested in can she get a degree on? Because now they have many options. And you can do anything on the internet. Even ChatGPT is taking up the space of a lot of careers. So that would be a starting point. Don't let the child get to the pressure of university entry before you analyze what her strengths and weaknesses are. That could help. So by the time they get there, they already know and are being guided. No, you don't need to be an architect. But what component of creativity or the creative aspects of careers would you fit into? Some people may just be advertising. Some people may just be a news analyst. But we should encourage the children in this climate to be the best they can be without going into the pressure of career. And then going to the question of the parents have spent so much. And so you really feel that you deserve some returns. Yes. But I think we have to let go of that pressure on ourselves as parents first. So I'll give you another example. A young man was compelled to go a certain direction in his career. And he did year 1 in university. And he didn't want to continue. He had the courage to come back and say to his parents, can I change? And they changed career. Would you know that after 3 years, in the 3rd year, he still wasn't satisfied? So when it came up for discussion, I said to the parents, you're going to need counseling first. Don't think money. Don't think opportunities lost. Just be calm enough to attend to this child. When in another 10 years, 15, nobody's going to recall that 3 years went by.
Yeah.
So have a conversation between yourselves, husband and wife, and then approach this young man from a very calm point of view. Yes, so matter of fact, for now, what would you want to do? I said he didn't get on drugs. He didn't commit suicide. He didn't disappear and go to another country without your info. He could have done worse things. So this is a safe kind of rebellion. In these 3 years, the boy is redefining himself. He's growing from an 18-year-old to a 21-year-old. Some children do it successfully, 120 over 100. Some need hand-holding. In it, he's going to come out better. Embrace him back home like the prodigal. Don't send him to another school yet. Decongest his thoughts. Analyze where he is. Have various conversations. Take him out to football. Let him explore beyond university. And by the way, don't send him to a post office to go and work. He's in the UK. They said, why the post office? When he gets there, he will see that he doesn't want to be a postman. And that there's no post office in Nigeria. So perhaps that's a learning curve. Yeah. And he'll come back, having faced the real world, and say to himself, oh no, this is not who I want to be. This is who I want to be. And we've solved the problem. Give him a year, 1 year off. In that 1 year, observe him in your environment. Yeah. It's a good thing.
It's a good thing.
He went to university too early, perhaps for his nature. And he was one of these people who would just escape into the creative space. And he can be on his own and doing his own poem and poetry and watching. And you know, now they spend so much time on the internet. Yeah. So he had an opportunity with his parents to go out now, go to the film shows, watch plays, and interact with other people, which is what he's learning. So we have to also, as parents, remove the pressure.
Yes. Now, talking about parents too, so there's a tendency for us as parents to validate ourselves from the successes of our children.
Yes.
It's such a thing, even when you go to school, oh, that's my child, he's a lead in the play.
Yes.
Oh, congratulations, he's the lead. Oh my goodness. Or my child was picked as the head boy. Oh, congratulations. It started with just celebrating, but it has now almost become a badge of honor that, all my kids, when they're in school, they're always head boy, head girl, or, and those things sometimes make it hard for us to let go when it's not really working because we feel we failed.
Yeah. And you can make the other children who are not head boy and head girl begin to wilt and lose their self-confidence. So I want to say to parents, in every child is a gift. Everyone God created has something special. You see that even in the nations of the earth. Let's assume the nations are God's children. From the little nation like Togo to the giant nation like America, he's put the bread for the community in the soil, in that nation. The Togolese people may have marble. The Americans may have 10 minerals. Just giving you examples, nothing specific, no specific details or data. What the small country has is enough to feed its 4 million people. It's like the parable of the talent. God is not expecting the same returns from the person who has one and the person who has 10. What he's expecting is utilize your one for your benefit because I have assessed that it's enough for you. So it is. Some children may have 5 star skills. One person may have 1 that makes him a Nobel Prize winner. So what we should do is cherish, encourage each child. One child you may just notice that child likes to garden. She may become the best landscape company tomorrow that yields more profit than the one who has 3-5 talents and doesn't major in any. So our responsibility as parents is not to overhype what one person is to the detriment of the others. Notice what each child loves to do and encourage that child in that space. And you will see everybody can thrive. So you'll notice sometimes, now, people say, oh, my son went to Imperial College and he got a first class. There's nothing wrong. He's to be applauded and we are to congratulate them. But that's not the beginning and end of it. So we should look forward to applaud. The other child may have done well in basketball. Oh, please applaud the basketballer as much as you're applauding the Harvard scholar.
Yes.
And that's manure for the child to grow and thrive.
Okay. Like I said, practical lessons we're going to be getting from Mrs. R for the next couple of episodes on the show. And this has been, I'm a parent, I'm learning, I'm soaking in. And I think the fantastic way to end this, you have a poem in your book, Shining Status.
Yeah.
And why that's important is that I think parents, especially young parents, now you have the great opportunity to begin to feed your children and don't wait for them to be teenagers. When you get to teenage age, the road has passed. So start from now to begin to feed them, begin to put in them the confidence
they need,
and let them know that you have their back. And so I liked the poem you had that you wrote to a child, their child, because it just goes for the one that knows and the one that has the advantage. I think it's on page 28 in your Poetry in My Thoughts.
Yeah, I wanted to read you something about me.
Okay.
Where I tried to define myself.
Really?
Yes,
okay.
A poem here. I think the me I know. Before I read you that one, because I think it encapsulates the idea of treating each child differently. So I tried to define myself in this poetry. It's on page 91.
Okay.
And when I was looking at the other two, shall I read this to you? The me I know. So this is me having a conversation of who am I really? Shy, delicate, but not feeble. Self-effacing, but rising to shine when the occasion demands. Forthright, loyal, and fierce in defense, with strength that observes and leads from behind. I am a paradox that surprises even myself. I like company, but I'm not bored on my own. A garden with a do not disturb sign is appealing to me. A cup of tea with good company is soothing. A mischievous laugh with a happy bunch of women is a thrill. A headmistress sometimes I am, striving to be strict, noble, and disciplined, carrying all in tow, not suffering fools gladly, longing always to maintain straight lines. I have a lot of local content. I dislike rice. And I like to swallow my food. I guess the rice grains bother me when I chew them. It's such an effort to do so. The swallows slip down easier. I enjoy the variety of African fabrics, so I dress in them. They are so expressive of my local content. Western apparel is appealing, but in varying degrees. I'm not very cosmopolitan most times. The hills of Akosombo in Ghana appeal more to me than the quaint villages of Spain, Switzerland, Italy, and Norway. Oh, Springfield and Montego Bay in Jamaica also caught my fancy. They spoke of mothers' growing up years and grandparents once alive. Mangwanani in South Africa had a good blend of Western and rural rustic appeal. It had the feeling of the West juxtaposed with Africa. The landscape I found so breathtaking, I recommend it. When I think of the pride of South African lions, I understand why Madiba would be ready to die for the land. Its nature speaks of liberty, an escape from all that is decayed. I like the sound of the word liberty. The ultimate liberty that has completely satisfied me, though, is that found in Christ Jesus. I bask in this liberty daily. You ought to find it too.
This is so, it's so amazing because you have put in a nutshell all we have talked
Yeah.
about: finding yourself
Yes,
and the liberty to be who you are.
correct.
And if parents can help guide
Yeah,
their children to this truth,
yeah.
oh my goodness.
Imagine if my parents tried to make me a doctor. I would have died in the first
I can
year.
imagine all this creativity.
Yeah.
And to be able to find yourself in a home of so many girls, just, it's easy when you're from a family of
Yeah.
loads of girls to be another girl.
Yeah,
But to be able to find your voice
Yeah.
and be different,
yeah.
that's an amazing work from the parents.
So
And
look at the poetry. And it doesn't take me time to write these,
Wow.
It's like I escape into a world. You see the picture there on the wall? It's like when I look at it, I think I could live in that in that story building. And then I can begin to visualize and I could write about myself there. So don't kill the poetry in the child's thoughts. Let the children be free and they'll thrive.
Thank you so much, Mrs. R. That was amazing. I do hope that as many people as who have listened to you got something. Please watch again because there are so many nuggets, practical nuggets that we can use. And it's amazing if you can bring up kids from, it's not like they will not have issues or
Yeah.
they will not feel challenges, but you've equipped them. You just give them a little bit extra
Yes.
to be able to push through whatever it is they face.
And they can have conversations in this. I was chatting with myself. Who are you really? Who? What do you like? And in closing, I'll give you an example. I traveled once with a friend to America, and they were going shopping in the shopping malls. And I have a sister in America, and I said to her, I don't like these shopping malls. Can't you find me where they put the skirts in one column, put the blouses in one column? And she is very comfortable with coming into a changing room with loads
The
of
people
trolleys.
in trolleys with so many
I
things
used
to
to try on everything, and it's just driving me crazy. So she said, no, we don't have here. And then I started to just, every time she was going out, I'll just say, I want to sit under a tree. She was so annoyed. Do you know, it was on the last day, she said, we are leaving now, you haven't bought an item. Every day you sit under the tree and read a book. But that's me, and I was so happy. But when I realized that, oh dear, we are going to the airport tomorrow. So I ran after her and went to the shopping mall. And when I got to the shopping mall, I said to a lady, I don't like shopping. Can you tell me the fastest way? Because my sister needed to return some things she had taken, and that was my only opportunity. I said, please, just tell me where the black trousers are. And the woman looked at me and she said, I know your type. I know your type of person. And that's how I left with the few items I left. But I didn't have any regret. And it doesn't mean the lady with the huge trolley is wrong.
Is wrong either.
That's just her.
Everyone's
That's
just
her
different.
authentic self.
That's her authentic
So that's
self.
what we should allow the children be.
Thank you so much, Mrs. R. Thank you so much. Thank you for everyone who's shared this time with us. And I do hope you've learned something. Remember, let the kids be their authentic self. And as parents, let go. Sometimes we just need to let go. And trust God who gave us those kids to sort them out.
Yeah.
My name is Marian. Thank you so much for watching.